So Pierre Lemieux, you're a bit of a rock star here at the March for Life. You're getting mobbed more than me at this thing. Congratulations. Is this a sign of where at least some of your support's coming from?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the interesting things about me is in this leadership campaign, I've been advocating for a lot of the conservative issues I think that matter to Canadians about reduced government spending and lower taxes, but my platform is even wider. It's a larger, wider platform because I am validating people who have social conservative values, faith-based values, and life values. And I'm saying these values are Canadian values. We have a rightful place in Canadian society.
I thought we didn't have any Canadian values. I thought that's what the Prime Minister had told us.
Well, there are millions and millions of Canadians who have these values I just spoke about, and I'm saying we have a rightful place in Canadian society. We have a rightful place within the Conservative Party of Canada, and I'm offering leadership on all of these issues.
Oh yeah, but some, especially mainstream media folks, might turn around and try and say, well, you are just the social conservative candidate. You are a one-issue candidate about abortion, about life.
Right, so that's why I was saying, you know, my platform is even wider than most other candidates because I talk about reduced government spending, lower taxes, job creation. I am for pipelines. I am for supporting our men and women in uniform. I was in the military for 20 years serving with men and women in uniform. They were my colleagues, and I'm a veteran now. I absolutely support them. I have policies on that. I am also for immigration and refugees, but I'm addressing our fundamental concern regarding security. So I cover all of that ground, but then I go further and I talk about freedom of speech, I talk about life issues, and I talk about a host of other issues that make my platform even wider than most other candidates.
I want to talk about free speech in a moment, but let's talk about your service. You were MP for 2 terms?
I was MP for 3 terms.
3 terms,
from
okay.
2006 through to 2015.
I've been up here so long I start forgetting who showed up when. It's tough to remember sometimes. So 2006 to 2015 for Glengarry Prescott Russell.
Right.
Before that, you just mentioned you were in the military. Tell me what you did there.
Right, so I was in the military. I left home at the age of 17 to serve our country, Canada. I joined the Army. I served for 20 years. I retired as a Lieutenant Colonel, and I was a proud member of the Royal Canadian Electrical Mechanical Engineers, such a great branch in the Canadian Army, and that's where I spent my 20 years. I'm going to tell you, these were very formative years for me. I learned a lot about leadership, and that's the kind of leadership that I'm bringing to this leadership race, and it's a leadership that is refreshing to Canadians. They support this style of leadership.
I have to say that, and I know that you will take issue with all of your competitors because you want to beat them, but I have to say, it's an impressive group. Canadians, conservatives that are voting in this race, it's not as if, the NDP race, nobody's showing up. You have a good number of people, quality people, looking to stand up and say, I want to lead the Conservative Party, and you're among them.
Yep, absolutely. So there is selection, there is choice to our Conservative members about who they vote for. Of course, I'm saying put Pierre Lemieux at the top of your ballot in that #1 spot. And I say that because, of course, when people vote for me, I can be the next leader of the Conservative Party of Canada and the next Prime Minister of Canada. How refreshing that would be, someone with my outlook, my policies, and my approach to leadership.
But how, this is the question I'm asking everyone, because everyone says, I can be leader and I can beat Justin Trudeau, I can become Prime Minister. Give me an example how, because the Liberals are still riding high. I think Trudeau is still a bit of a Teflon Don out there. Nothing's really sticking to him. How can you end up beating this guy in 2019?
Right, so I think there are 3 things that we need to focus on. The first, the economy and jobs, right? It's jobs and prosperity that attract people to our party, especially young people. We want young people to vote for us. We have to tell them we are focused on jobs and giving them jobs, because with that comes financial freedom, financial independence, and upon their jobs, they can raise their families. The second thing we need to focus on is being conservative. Canadians want politicians that stand for something. Wouldn't that be refreshing to have politicians that stand for something, and then you can choose to agree or disagree with them. But we've got to start standing for conservative values. And then the third thing is we need to talk to the millions and millions of Canadians who have social conservative values, who have faith-based values and life values, because there are millions and millions of them across the country, and they may or may not be politically engaged. If we start talking their language, we will engage them in our party. We will have a larger, more vibrant party. This sets us up for a great win in 2019.
Okay, so that is that's an answer on the tactic side. Let me ask you on the more basic side. Why does Pierre Lemieux want to be Prime Minister of Canada?
I want to offer Canadians service. What a contrast with Justin Trudeau, right? We want a leader that understands leadership and that understands service. You look at Justin Trudeau, and I'll just tell you, if you're not taking a photo of Justin Trudeau, he is taking a photo of himself with your camera. He puts himself front and center. We just know it's not about Canada, it's not about Canadians. I am offering leadership, and I am offering service, and I frame my service in terms of 30, 20, 10. My 30 years of service to my family as a husband and as a father, my 20 years of service to our country, Canada, in the Canadian Army, and 10 years of service as a member of Parliament right here on Parliament Hill. And so through this service, I offer all of my policy initiatives, and I offer my perspective on social conservative values, faith-based values, and life values being a strength of our country and being a strength of our party. How refreshing. And wow, what a positive outlook. And it's this kind of outlook that draws people to our party and to our platform.
You mentioned free speech earlier. I know there's a lot of talk about M103, and for me, the concern about M103 isn't so much that it passed, because let's face it, motions are as relevant as I like apple pie over pecan. But it's what might come out of it. What might they do when they start studying and going to this whole of government approach? It's if they act. That's concerning to me. I know you also have concerns with C-16.
Yes.
Are those the two big areas for you, or are there other areas of where free speech is under threat from government? Not from the thugs that wanted to stop the March for Life out there, but from government.
Right. So, no, I think freedom of speech is under attack. I think political correctness is moving forward and infringing on our freedom of speech. You mentioned Liberal motion M103, which I have messaged against from the very beginning, and C-16. You know, there are leadership candidates standing in this leadership race who voted for that, and for that infringement on freedom of speech. And I think people, before they vote, they should go to the internet and say who voted in favor of C-16, and you will see the list.
Tell us why C-16 is problematic in your view.
It's problematic because it's giving special rights to the transgender community. And you know, as conservatives, we believe there is one law in Canada. All people are equal under the law. All Canadians are equal.
You don't want to take rights away from people.
No, not at all. It's just the Liberal approach is to give special rights and privileges to special groups of Canadians. And they do it all across the country. And then what you have is a conflict of rights, right? And then who sorts that out? Well, the Human Rights Commissions generally do. And I have a concern with C-16 and its future infringement on our freedom of speech. And I'm not the only one. Dr. Jordan Peterson, who I have met with personally on 3 occasions, twice in his home, once here in Ottawa, during this leadership campaign, to talk about freedom of speech. He sees the infringement too. He has taken a stand like I'm taking a stand against freedom of speech. And I think he's in the university setting. Mm-hmm. I think we can say many of our universities are ground zero for these types of ideologies, these types of infringement on freedom of speech, the advancement of political correctness. We need to push back on that. He's doing it at the university. I think as government too, we can look at ways that we can encourage our universities to embrace freedom of speech, not repress it.
Thank you very much, Pierre.
My pleasure. Thank you.